Hi, YouTube. I hope you're good. I'm doing great. Pretty good, actually. I didn't get anything done on that kitty house yesterday. Doug and I were gonna put some plastic up together and do a couple other things, but he was working on a truck that he has to get out of the way to get things out of the shop. So maybe later today, or I don't know. But at least they have a warmer place to live than nothing at all. Um, what's been on my mind is first, I haven't heard anything from the Monograph channel on that bill that our president signed as far as the shipping containers and whatnot. So I don't know if he's probably tired and busy, God knows. He usually does a video every day, but he hasn't been, so that tells me that he probably is going through God knows what. But, like the rest of us. But what I've been thinking about is being raised in a cult and talking to you about their holidays, their three specific holiday days where they literally do um, use the energies of those holidays, being Halloween, Christmas, the number one, and Easter, and the entities that they pay homage to on those days. And let's speak a little bit about Halloween. Um, Now, when I was a kid, I loved it. What kid wouldn't, dressing up and candy, and even adults, parties and all the decorations and the fun that can be had doing all those things. Excuse me. All the while forgetting that we're, if we're doing that, paying homage to death and decay. Well, the seriousness of this holiday is there are people and animals being sacrificed and hurt and beating. It's Halloween's a huge day for domestic violence and child degradation, like molestations and rapes. And um, this is all true. It's very true. These are big days that these people, when you're out celebrating, you're not thinking that the energies that have opened these energies for the satanic to come into us when we're celebrating that makes us more susceptible. And you would think to yourself, well, I've celebrated it all my life and I'm not evil. Are you certain that there's nothing that you've done during Halloween, Easter, or Christmas that has not made you in some sort of mindset that got you prepared for doing something horrible to another person or even to yourself because you weren't aware of the energies that were within yourself at that time? Uh, now, I'm not saying I'm looking down on anybody if you're decorating or celebrating. Quite the contrary. I just want to make you very aware that even though and on my Facebook, I suggested maybe, like I saw some churches that were having the Harvest Festival, like the Nordic Harvest Festival, and one set of parents were going to make their kid a hammer and dress them up as Thor. And, they still get to wear their costumes and stuff. But I heard a woman speaking on this, and she was an ex-witch. And her outlook on the whole thing was she could dress her kids up and have parties for them any other day, um, It didn't have to specifically be on Halloween. And that really hit home with me. It's like, because I know the way I was raised, um the efforts that these people would put into these holidays and exactly what was going on during these holidays, like a few days before and after, and how they operate like that. And if you look around, I mean, how early has these Halloween decorations? It's just not one day. It's all month long. You see pumpkins this, skeletons that, whatever. So I just really wanted to speak on that a little bit today because I think it's important that people are aware, especially if children are involved. It's probably not a good idea. I mean, I know being dressed up like a princess or a fairy or a superhero and all these seems really innocent, but that witch made a really good point too, that these covens are very active this time of year. The costumes that your children are wearing, they curse the costumes, the candy, um, that they're handing out or making, and it's all very true. And the spiritual world is true, and we know that because of God in our heart or Satan trying to get into our minds and make us cold hearted. So please just consider what I'm saying. I hope you don't brush it off and say, well, like the Hispanic, like, or Mexican with their Day of the Dead. And I know that it's a very, very big cultural thing, like in their culture, to go and even have meals and picnics with their loved ones at the graveyard and to bring them food and set it there. And but once again, you have to think, where did these cultures come from? Was that the actual um, Native American culture that was doing this? Or was it like the conquistador, the conquerors, the Spanish, um, that was influencing their holidays and the history of things, and how long has the pagan society celebrated these different holidays, and why, and what would it mean, that type of thing, if we're paying homage to eternal life or the continuance of this world and the worldly things within it. So, yeah, just consider that, and that's kind of enough on that subject. So, um, if anybody has any questions about how I was raised and what it was like, I could give you a brief. I'll give you a brief right here. I was adopted by Masons and they hated me, and they tried to use me for my abilities, and I had all kinds of things done to me, and that's true. So please don't take it lightly when I'm saying it is the absolute truth. And yes, they wanted me to get into the craft because of the strongness of my mind, and to turn my heart cold, and it didn't work too well for them. I went totally the opposite direction. I was born opposite than how they think and feel. And it's been a lifelong struggle, but um in order for us to make any kind of impact in the world, somebody's got to do it, somebody's got to say it, and it's got to start with you and me. We can't depend on somebody else to come and save us. We need to make an effort. It's just like David and Goliath. Um that giant didn't go down by itself. David had to physically do something to initiate the downfall of the monster that was hurting his people, correct? Well, this isn't a physical fight. This is a spiritual war. And we have to make it evident to these people that want to harm us and control us that no, this is not going to work. And we're taking steps to make sure they know that they're not going to control us. No, you're not going to hurt my family and get away with it. That type of feeling. Or my loved ones, my friends, my neighbors, whoever. So, speaking of neighbors, I got a story for you. Just a minute. First thing this morning, Doug answers the phone. Well, it was about a week ago. He's been trying to get a hold of these people that sell wood. We have other wood vendors up around here, and we've cut trees and split it and delivered it ourselves. So we know the amount of work that goes into it and stuff. And people are busy and they're hard to get a hold of. That's true. Well, these people, we kept getting emails from the woman of this business, and it's been several weeks, and they had an ad on Craigslist. Well, this morning this guy called and told Doug, and he was like really not polite. Doug was as polite as could be. And when I hear somebody getting badgered, I kind of sometimes depends on what the situation is. But this guy almost wrecked Doug's day until I kind of took over. But first, so Doug's on the phone and they're talking about it. And the guy said, well, um, I work 60 hours a week and I have little kids, blah, blah, blah. And I just got back from Camp Ripley. And I don't know if I have any wood. Why did you wait for so late in the year? He said till late October, and now you expect me to cater to you, is what he said to Doug. And Doug's like, just hung up on the dude because this was after, like I say, several emails, his wife contacting Doug, and Doug literally took one of our firearms over there because they had where they would trade for wood, and it's a beautiful 16 gauge Browning 1954 mint condition semi automatic. I mean, this is like a somewhat rare gun, beautiful. So she took a picture of it, and the guy, what I think too is they wanted cash for their wood, which they don't even cut, they buy and resell. So that, and all in all is fine. But when he said all that he said, and then now you expect me to cater to you, it's like, you don't run a business like that. And when you're busy, if you don't, well, Doug said if you don't have the wood for sale, he said, what, then take your ad off of Craigslist. And he sort of started yelling at Doug, so Doug hung up the phone. I said, don't answer it. And I grabbed it. I said, we've worked 60-hour weeks with little kids too. And how did I word that? Or I go like, okay, just a minute. Yeah, okay. Just, well, yeah, I go like, we've worked 60 hours weeks with little kids too for years, and then I go decades. I go fuck yourself, and I hung up. you know, I just wanted him to know how I felt. Well, that made Doug feel a little better because Doug wasn't going to say that to him. I mean, he was going to pick up the phone, but Doug does have a bad heart. Um, has had really bad heart problems in the past, and I wasn't going to let this little prick um hurt him any more than he already tried to do this morning. And I think that had something to do with the fact that Maybe he shouldn't be in the National Guard because uh, he sure isn't a people person. And he's definitely not a businessman, you know. And so, anyway, kind of made my day. I don't like the military anyway. And yeah, it made my day. That was wonderful. I loved it. So, excuse me a moment. And I've been one like lately with telemarketers or whatever that call and they harass and I'm like, we don't want any, no thank you, have a good day. I've been like really polite, not really mean on the phone or anything to anybody, you know, and even being irritated. But when somebody else, I'm really protective like that, and that's why that came out of me like that. For myself, I would have been like just like Doug, just hung up. But when he called back, he's like, I think we got disconnected. I said, no, you didn't. And then I went into my spiel and told him how I felt, you know. So, like, yeah. Like I told Doug, why doesn't his wife go do what I did with my kids? Go cut your own tree and split it. Teach your children how to split wood too. And then when he's gone, they don't have to worry about it if they're running a wood business. And talk about scary, running a chainsaw when you're next to a tree. And then if it is a bigger tree, you have to get wedges like this, and they go from big to little, and pound them in there, and then smack it to make the tree fall. And hopefully it's not windy, and hopefully it doesn't fall on you. And when you're cutting out there and you got kids, hopefully your kids aren't under the tree either. You know, stuff like that. So, yeah. Now these people, these little bumpkins, you know, wherever they come from. I don't know. You know, so it's like, yeah, go get a job. Get a real job. No, that's one of Doug's favorite sayings, you know. So, anyway. So, we have probably about a 40-degree day. I heard we have some bad weather coming in. And, oh, speaking of bad weather, it was cold last night. I told you I made that chicken and rice soup with vegetables in it and stuff, and it was so good, really good. So, and I knew Doug wasn't really big on me putting rice in it at first because he's an egg noodle person. And chicken noodle soup is one of my favorite soups, but I was just in the mood for rice. And the night before, he had got one of those, oh, those pre-made chickens, or roasted chickens from the store. Um, so he brought one of those home, and it was okay, but it seemed like it was a little underdone, and like parts of it. And so I just put the whole bones and what was left in my crock pot and started making a soup yesterday, and it was phenomenal. You know, just what we needed. So, yeah. So, anyway. Oh, my kitty got some and he liked it, which I was surprised. I knew he'd like the chicken in it, but the broth, I was wondering if he would. But he ate all the vegetables I had, green beans, lima beans, corn, peas, and carrots, onion, and a little bit of garlic and celery. And he ate everything except for some carrots because about a week ago or something I had made something that had carrots, and on his plate I had put it was mostly half carrots half meat, and I think he just wasn't in the mood for carrots, so he'll probably eat them later today anyway. But yeah, so, and he's looking and feeling a little better. We've got all kinds of medicines and lotions that we've been using on him. I made a tobacco extract and put that on his skin where he had, which we think, and I think now, um, could be like a type of mange or a scabies that is coming in through the air. I really think the stuff they've been dumping on us has murdered my animals this year, because like even my older cat, she was pretty healthy and pretty spunky for a little old girl. And my dog wasn't that old. And horses usually live a little longer than like 23, 24 years. They can even live up to 30 or 40 years. And I totally babied my horse. I mean, there was one time when I first got her that she was of ill health from some bad feed, and it hurt her lungs, and I got her antibiotics and horsey vitamins, and so I mean very well taken care of. So I really really think, and Bobby was the picture of health. There was nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with him. And we don't think it's his thyroid. We think his thyroid was affected by what's going on with our air and the pollution, and so just love the fact that these big companies, I mean, pumping out pollution just hideously, would want to blame global warming on people, you know, and even cattle. That's so ridiculous, unbelievably so. So yeah. So, what's new in your state or around the world where you live? Anything new? Any changes? From what I can see, with these mandates that they're trying to push, a lot of people are pushing back. I think there's more people that, even if they've gotten um, uh, the magic potion, that they aren't going to sit there and watch their fellow human beings be pushed around, because that just isn't our nature. Just like me with this morning, I don't take kindly to people picking on somebody I care about. I could be mad as hell at Doug, and if somebody was hurting them, I'd slay their ass. It's the way it is. So yeah, but I think it's not going quite the way they want it to go, trying to push us around and push us into breaking our economy for their electrocurrency and hooking everybody up to AI. And I mean, excuse me, I don't think they're going to quit trying to push us around. That's not their nature to quit. Um, Maybe Christ will go into their heart. It's possible, highly improbable, but possible. These are generations of people that have used other people, and if they can't get their way using people, I mean, think about it. If you're used to having a maid clean your house, why in the world would you want to make your maid rich so you couldn't hire them anymore? You wouldn't. You'd do everything possible if you want to be waiting on hand and foot to keep those people subservient to you. And that's what's going on. And they've been doing it for generations. They're lazy and they're greedy. So, well, I'm going to end this. Please consider what I said about the Halloween thing. I mean, you may think, because of all the jokes and movies and horror movies that are made depicting Halloween, like it's just a joke or something. It is not just a joke. If you've ever been raped or beat up or hurt, or known people that have been on Halloween, or personally involved in some kind of cult. And there's all kinds of cults. There's religious, political, um, social, such as the Masons and Eastern Star. There's satanic, and it all boils down to one thing: they're not people of God, they're people of Satan. No matter what title they put on their group, when you have a group of people that are going to insert themselves in society and guide other people in the direction that could harm them. And this once again goes into what they're doing to the children. I mean, to dress your child up as a monster probably isn't a very good idea. But or to allow it in your life. So like I say, just consider it. I'm not down on anybody, and like I said, I used to love it. I've really put a lot of thought into this. I have pumpkins that I grew, and I thought about putting them out, and Doug did give some of them away to one guy. But, you know, and a pumpkin's a pumpkin. You can make pies out of it and whatnot. And I thought about making an arrangement or a display, and I've thought about it other times. It's just like I used to put up Christmas lights and all that stuff, but I think it's time for us to find a different way to show God we love Him, and different ways to express ourselves, and different times a year to party to separate us from the Satan ruled world. We need to take back our control. So, okay, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Have a beautiful day, night, wherever you're at. I'll be back as soon as I can. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.